So today we will try to, do something interesting and interactive with you. And thanks to our speakers, they accepted to join the debate and they formed groups without their will, of course. So the first group will be with Olivier and Marcus, and the second group will be of Remigiusz and Pradeep. So what we will do is we will discuss about the latest debates happening in software testing. So please, can I ask you to use your browsers with your smartphones to go and put there kahoot.it, and then once the screen is there, you need to put that pin starting with 94 there and give yourself a nickname. So be careful, the nicknames are visible on the screen, so don't put aggressive stuff there. Okay. Yes, 5 players now. We need to have something like 40. Yes. Please. So what we will do is, first, I will show you the topics. We have selected 4. By the way, these people, they are unaware of the topics. They don't know what will show up. And also they don't know which side will they defend, I will push them to defend one side.
Chopin versus Beethoven?
Could be. Yes. So, 27, 28, 30. I think we have around 40, 45 here. Am I right? Please, everyone in. So, just waiting for 1 minute more. And I will start. Okay. Done? Let's make it 40, yes. 2 more. Seba, are you in? Yeah, thank you. Twice? Yeah. 1 also, yeah, okay. Just 2 newcomers are here. Guys, you can please go to the browser and put kahoot.it and make us more than 40 here, please. Okay. We will pick just one debate. Let me tell you the rules. So I will show you the debates here, and you will pick the one who is your interest. Then if it is on the top, we will pick it, and we will, decide on the sides which group will defend which idea, and then we will give them 5 minutes to prepare themselves. And from each group, everyone is doing a presentation. We gave them 5 minutes per each people, so within that 5 minutes of preparation, they need to, talk to each other and say that this is my side, this is your side, I will present this. And after the 10 minutes is over from this group, for example, the other group here, people will ask them 1 questions, 1 from Marcus and 1 from Olivier. And then we will see the answers coming. And after that, we do it with the second group, the reverse, and then you will vote the winner group. And I don't know what we'll do with the winners. Ask it to Seba, Seba, what will they earn? With you. Okay.
Okay, you vote against us.
Okay, so we are 50. Very nice. So let me now start the voting. The first question is the only one. Choose the most interesting debate for you. Let me tell you before you click on the button. So the first one in red is telling us whether you choose developers in test automation or testers in test automation. So if you want to initiate an automation project, which one is a good start? Blue one is telling us if you are, you are in an island, just to pick one. Are you going to choose scripted testing or exploratory testing? The one in yellow, is testing a skill or is it a job? So should it remain like a job, or is it a skill set everyone should have? Something like that. And the last one is, will AI, complement testers? Will it help testers to do their jobs in a better way, or will it replace testers in the end? So based on those information, you can pick the one which is interesting for you to have as a debate. So we have 46, 47, 48. So once everyone has the votes, I will show you the results. And very nice. One of my top things. So they are so close because that exploratory testing is, we are talking about it maybe for the last 10 years. It is not that hot topic for you, but you picked developers in test automation versus testers in test automation. So guys, which one to give which group? Kasia, anything to say? Developers, testers. So, okay, let us do it that way. So, guys, you will defend us that the wise idea to do a automation project is to bring developers on board. So you need to convince us that developers will be best fitted to an automation project. So you can start. And the other group, you need to tell us that developers would not be the best option, but testers would be. So you would, I don't know what you will do, but you will improve their skill sets or gave them some trainings, whatever, so that you need to convince us that testers would be the best fit to an automation project. So your time started. Let me put a chronometer here, 5 minutes per each group, and give you some music. Yes. So don't kill the browsers, let it be like that, because we will go back. Okay.
Little boy, Brad Pitt, legend of the fall, took a year like a bandit. Bought my mom crib in a brand new wagon. Now she hit the grocery shop looking lavish. Star Trek groove in the wraith of Khan. Girls get loose when they hear the song. 100 on the dash, get me close to God. We don't pray for love, we just pray for cause. House so empty, need a centerpiece. 20 racks of table cut from ebony.
Yes.
Cut that ivory into skinny pieces. Then she clean up with a face, man, I love my baby. You talking money, need a hearing aid. You talking about me, I don't see the shade. Switch up my style, I'll take any lane. Switch up my cup, I kill any pain.
Last 4 minutes.
Look what you done.
Yes.
I'm a motherfucking star boy. What you done? I'm a motherfucking star boy. Hey, look what you done. I'm a motherfucking star boy.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
This morning, jumped out of bed, put on my best suit, got in my car, raced like a jet, all the way.
Yes, last 3 minutes. Last 3. coin.
Why you gotta
Yeah.
be so rude? Don't you know I'm human too?
No.
Why you gotta be so rude? I'm gonna marry you anyway. I'll marry you anyway.
Kasya.
No matter what you say, we'll be a family. I hate to do this, you leave no choice. Can't live without
Yes, last 2 minutes.
we will be both standing at that altar. Or we will run away to another galaxy. You know, she is in love with me. She will go anywhere I go. Can I have your daughter for the rest of my life? Say yes, 'cause I need to know. You say I'll never get your blessing till the day I die. Trouble luck, my friend. The answer is no. Why you gotta be so rude? Don't you know I'm human too? Why you gotta be so rude? I'm gonna marry you anyway. I'll marry you anyway. No matter what you say,
Yes.
we'll be a family.
Last minute for you guys. Last minute. They already finished. Perfect. Okay.
Waiting for you guys, come on. We are ready.
Okay, so who to start with? Any? Okay, let me ask you as a local one. Tell me heads or tails. Yes, you got it.
Is
So
this-
you want to start first?
Is this parliamentary where the audience can like shout people down and say,
Yes, yeah,
All right.
something like that. You want to start first or let them start first? What's your side? Start first. Okay, so any one of you may start and I will have the timer. So once you are ready, you can start. Is it working? No? Maybe it's better to use it still. Yeah. Will be recorded, yes.
Now,
Yes,
hello? Yeah,
better.
better. Okay. So there are 3 points that I actually wanted to make. First point is that writing a test automation is just yet another piece of a software, right? And it needs to be designed well. It needs to have high coding standards. And the issue we have, and we've been facing in our industry actually, is that we've been treating the test automation as a second-level citizen. And it is exactly why the test automation, the automated tests are not repetitive, are flaky, we cannot trust the safety net, right? It is supposed to be our safety net. I should supposed to feel safe when releasing the software, and I'm not. Why? Because it is not designed well. It is not. It does not adhere to the high coding standards, and it is why, because, with all due respect to testers, I'm a tester, but we were not taught to actually write a well-designed software. Developers, on the other hand, has been, right? And this is primarily the reason why they should be involved. But of course, they need our help, right? Because they do not have the proper mindset, right? This is what they lack and what we have, right? So, in fact, we should be paired together, but it is them who should be involved in writing the code itself. The code itself is really a minor thing, right? It needs to be well designed. It needs to adhere to the coding standards. I do agree, but it is the idea that it is testing. This is what matters, and this is what we do have, right? So that's the first point, why they should be definitely involved. The other point is that if we think about Agile, the only thing Agile did, it removed barriers. This is the only thing, right? We used to have like architects or business analysts, architects, developers, testers, and right now what we did, we just removed these barriers and we built a team that is cross-functional and that is responsible, right? These two things are the most important. So if we involve testers into test automation, we somehow constitute the barrier that we want to remove, right, in order for the software development process to be actually optimal, right? So it doesn't really make much sense to do it, right? It's the other way that we should do, right? Developers should be involved because we want them to be responsible for what they're doing. If we are only suffering for the bugs that they've made, what's the point? If they've introduced the bugs, let them be suffering so that they actually eat their own food, right? It's just that it doesn't make any sense, right? The other way around. So it removes the barriers. And what I've already touched is that it increases the responsibility, the maturity of the development team, right? We all have been tired of software being thrown on us when I just started and nothing works. For God's sake, right? I just don't want to be in this position. If you broke the software, feel the pain. Actually, you should not be able to release the software to build the package, right? You should not be able to do it. The test net should prevent you from doing it, right? So I want to trust my tests. I just want them to be of highest quality. This is what I want. And in order to do it, we need to hire right people for the right job. Pradeep?
Thank you.
So can I get that extra 1 minute, 20 seconds that you... I was just kidding.
No.
Okay, great. So...
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So first of all, I'm sure that, both of you wanted to be on our side, but I'll just get, started off. Here's the trend that I see, what's happening in the industry. We keep moving, testing away from, people that we keep removing the fun and, start actually putting. So there was fun in doing, what some people call as manual testing, and we removed that fun and said the fun no longer exists in manual testing, the fun exists in automation. And now we are trying to move that from automation, to AI. Who is really looking at the users? Who is really looking at the business? Who is looking at what's affecting the revenue? Who is supposed to be giving feedback to the product owners, to the business analysts, and to the people running the business? That's where I think the tester role actually came in. But since developers who were also supposed to be testing didn't want to do testing, they wanted to find somebody who would do automation, and started to graduate a lot of testers to automation. And I can understand even for the testers, it is being sold as a growth path, that you begin as an exploratory or a manual tester, and then people ask you a question like, are you still stuck over there, or are you progressing? So people kind of feel the urge, and there's a lot more jobs that are being created. So this is creating a massive pressure on the people to think that they need to progress from the manual exploratory testing to automation. But what this is creating a sense in all the developers that somebody else owns automation, somebody else owns quality. I think just going back to Marcel's presentation, there was a beautiful flat figure over there that everybody equally owns it, and as a part of everybody equally owning it, I think the testers' focus should go more towards giving feedback to the product owners, giving feedback to the business about what the users are facing, and leave the automation to developers. For a couple of things, as he mentioned, is that we are actively discovering that a lot of automation is quite flaky, and just as how Marcel asked, who has really nailed it? 98% of the world has not nailed it. And why? It's also because the kind of code quality that's coming into picture. There's a lot of learning curve that somebody needs to have in order to get their automation right, and that takes 3 to 4 years. And by that time, the automation has already failed. And I've worked with a lot of companies, and I've been consulting them, where they come saying that their automation has actually failed. So why does it happen it's primarily two things: that the testers are not qualified but want to do it for their progress, wanting to do it, and the second thing is the developers not owning it. So I think we should move the world where we respect and celebrate the feedback that the testers bring to the product and the user, and let the developers build more robust automation, wherein it's not as flaky as it is actually today. So that's the pointer, that let's go back and focus on the user. Let's go back and focus on the business, which is keeping all of us alive. And to do that, the developers needs to own the automation aspect of it. Okay, I'm done on the time. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, you have possibility to ask them 2 questions. So yes, your turn to ask questions.
I'm going to pose this as a when, not an if. When you're falling behind in your sprint goals, when the features haven't been shipped on time, when at some point developers have been given this massive burden of adding testing to their already existing workload without having factored it into the beginning, because that's exactly how it works. When the product people come to you and say, why the hell is this software late? And you say, it's because they're making us do all this goddamn testing. How do you respond by saying, let's double down on testing in a way that they're actually going to hear you and not just say, ship it already, when that happens?
All right, so here we have an assumption that test does not take time. I mean, the assumption in the question is that if developers write code without tests.
When developers write code without tests.
When, okay. Without tests, plus the effort needed for test itself, that it will take smaller amount of time as compared to developers writing the code with tests in mind. Because what I would advocate for is that if a developer writes a code with tests in mind, first of all, the particular class which actually goes to whole application starts to be testable because they need to think about it, right? And as a whole, then the time needed for testing afterwards, because I'm not saying that test automation is everything that you that you will have. No, there will be some part of testing done outside of the development or programming process, let's call it this way. But then it will be much, much easier, and you would not be stumbling upon simplest things because they would be caught by the automation. So in an essence, it would not be that developing a software with tests is slower.
Can I add a pointer? It's a debate.
Yeah, just 30 seconds. Okay. Let us hear you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so when people come and ask about why are we late on shipping, yeah, we can ship even without testing, and nobody will know it. And some users will know it. And when the users know it, the same product owners will come and ask a question, why did we ship shitty software? And that's when we can answer, that's because you wanted to go faster. And that's the way we kind of course correct with the product owners and the BAs. So that's the 30 seconds and less than 30 seconds.
Thank you, Pradeep. Yes, the second question.
Second question. So, gentlemen, I have a very basic question. I'm a very basic guy. I'm back to basics. So basically, I do believe that testers have their own career path, their own skill set, their own mindset, which is totally different from developers. So basically speaking, if we give automation back to developers, how will we resolve the conflict of interest, being that developers on one side build something, which is their own creation they are proud of and they are valued for, and basically they will be asked to destroy it through the testing? How will you solve that conflict of interest, guys?
Okay, so as we said, it is best if you have a pair, right? So that we have a developer who built it, agree, and we have a tester who has the testing mindset or the mindset to actually break it.
Which is even adding another layer of complexity and another way of having miscommunication between the teams. I'm not against collaboration, but is it the right moment to do so?
I mean, it's the best moment to do so because anyway, we would have to have this collaboration. Later or sooner or later, we will have to have it. So it's better to have it sooner and resolve all the problems as soon as possible than have it later and just pay all the depths of facing the problem too late, because we will face it anyway.
And who owns the responsibility? Because ultimately there you dilute the responsibility within collaboration. So basically someone is writing the code. Somebody else is bringing the skills and the mindset so as to destroy what has been done before. Who owns the responsibility?
Both of us.
Yes.
Hold the team.
And also, just to add a point on that, those who care about quality should not have a conflict of interest. Those who care about quality should not have. And I recently put out a post that surprised me and got 1 million views. And that post just said that I completed 16 years in testing. 95% of the bugs I found were not supposed to have been found by me. They were supposed to have been found by unit and integration tests. So I made a career out of finding bugs that I was not supposed to at all. So from that sense, I think the conflict of interest should go away from people who care about the quality.
Thank you. So now the debate is done. Your turn to do your presentations, guys. So you can start.
Yeah, but okay. So basically, it's most of the debate actually was run through the question, and our argumentation is basically opposing the stuff. So what we believe is, first of all, a tester have a different skill set, a different career path, and a different mindset. This is already what I stated in the first question. So you need to be different to be a tester, back to basic. Testers and developers are different universe. Even if they collaborate, they are different mindset, they are different kind of people, and they have different objectives in life. Second, this all comes to this conflict of interest. I understood why your answer was, Pradeep, and I think this is fine, but basically this is not what we observe in reality, because in most cases these developers want to build something and want this something to work, and they do not that much care about quality, because quality is the tester's affair. And basically speaking, they are very reluctant if we come back to them and say, we found a defect. And they get berserk sometimes when we find a defect, just because this is this conflict of interest. I'm proud of what I built, and destroying it is very difficult. And I think that you need to be someone else to do that sort of a job. So I still believe that this conflict of interest is there, and the objectivity is hard to reach for someone who created their own stuff to develop something that is about to destroy it. Also, my experience over these 25 years of practice is that developers basically do not care and do not want to learn about testing, basically. Most of the developers I had a chance to meet, basically they don't care about us. They just want to do their stuff. And we're just necessary even in best case. And in a very mature organization, okay, we go hand in hand and we collaborate. So basically, yeah, that's totally different word. Yeah, I doubt that they want to collaborate that much. Yeah, also, and this is something where I tend to agree with you guys, we have a certain role that is very important role and major role in creating the links, creating the communication links with the business side, with the product owners, with the customers, with the users, and so on and so forth. So we tend to learn in our career paths about how to communicate and how to be the cement of this whole organization, which is definitely not what is taught to developers in my own experience. Maybe I'm a little bit blunt in here, but this is what I tend to observe over these years. And I think that all in all, it's easier for a tester to learn how to code, even if it's just a basic code of test automation, than a developers to learn about the testing skills and practice.
Thank you.
I'm going to, I agree. I think that when I think about, there's the practical concern of how software works right now, and then there's a more academic concern, which I think is a little bit more compelling. The practical concern is, can you imagine going to a developer and saying, okay, I'm a tester, you're a developer, it is now my job to teach you how to test. Let us talk about cyclomatic complexity and boundary conditions. And you are now going to run through all the test cases that I run through. Now, here's a text field. Enter -1, enter 0, enter the max int value, enter a non-printable character, make sure it doesn't throw a stack trace. Can you imagine a software developer that you know going to their product manager and saying, I can't finish that many story points this sprint because I have to do my boundary checking in the test automation right now. Now, ideally, they write some sort of algorithm that would automatically generate these things. I just can't imagine that happening. So that's a practical aspect. At this point, what you are describing, while I agree with it in theory, would take at least a year and 2 firings of the current managers in order to transition to a mindset that might even be somewhat sustainable. Now let's go to a more academic standpoint. Where do developers come from when they come into your organization? They come from university. What do they study? They study computer science. Go talk to your testers. Where do they come from? I have a degree in linguistics. Some people in my team have degrees in English or psychology or liberal arts.
I'm a
Chemical engineer. They have a diversity of backgrounds. And in a lot of cases, in the QA in particular, diversity of gender and people of color, that kind of thing, more diversity in that point of view. They have a user-based point of view, and they don't attack every problem like a computer scientist. So that perspective that they bring, in addition to the patience to be able to handle topics like boundary checking and cyclomatic complexity, is a very compelling argument to say, you know what, maybe it's better to teach them how to use an abstraction layer that we help create and let them test the software, as opposed to just handing it to a developer who is probably going to be from a similar demographic, similar background to the person who wrote the code. Because I'll give you, giving a developer a software to test that they wrote is problematic. Easy. You give them someone else's. You say, you're a developer, you test his software, you test his software. Easy. You solve the conflict of interest that way. But they're still coming at it from the same point of view. They're going to look at this and say, okay, well, that has the potential to cause a memory leak. Something like that. But they're not going to think about, is the color blue psychologically more pleasing? Because they won't have that background that someone with a psych degree or something like that might come from. So diversity of background, diversity of demographic, and once again, the practical consideration of, do you really think, to me, if you hand this to developers, then the art of testing that we've been talking about, that Ingo talked about, that dies within a generation, because developers will never adopt that mindset. It is an entire career path. It's not just something we do. All right? That's my take.
Thank you, Marcus. Yes, guys, your questions? Pradeep?
So, okay, good argument, but here are some counters for that. Most of the testing that you're talking about is not automatable. Like, for instance, like the boundary testing and all of that stuff is not what people do in automation. They do happy path, test automation to get the basic functionality right. Now, here is one thing that I've seen about moving, testers, moving exploratory testers to writing, test automation code. Before the transition, a tester would jump out of joy when they see a red. The moment the transition happens, they are all celebrating the green rather than the red. So to me, it's like a dark night. We have taken a cop who was catching bugs and made them to people celebrating not catching bugs. So how do you respond over to this? That people today who are moved from being an exploratory tester, to automation, are celebrating the green rather than the red.
I'm trying to decide how blunt to be, considering that I work for a company that offers test execution as a service, who just released a benchmark to the industry showing that based on our data, almost 0 companies ever see green in their functional tests, ever. So that situation, in my experience, simply doesn't exist. We celebrate greens because it means that the scaffolding we used to hold the building in place didn't fall down. And that's so rare, I almost don't even, congratulations, you're one of literally 200, that kind of thing. So to me, I don't even know how to respond to that reality, because for me, it's just not a reality. I wish I had a better answer.
Could it also be because the testers are writing the code and you never get to see green?
It is entirely
This
possible.
is the second question. So now you lost your chances. You cannot ask. This was the second one. You have a right to not to respond,
We're not responding.
Yeah, but it will continue till the end, you know? You have a right to skip that. Okay.
I don't remember the question, so I.
Yes, please.
All right, so essentially what both of you said is that, I just noted a few sentences. Developers want to build their software. That's what they want to do. Developers don't care for the quality. Developers...
No, sorry, I can't let this go. This
Okay.
is not what I said. They don't care about testing.
They don't care about testing. Okay, fine, okay. They don't care about testing. They do not have patience to go through all the boundary cases. Yes, let's give them also some coffee, juices, and let them behave as children, right? Because this is what we promote that they're doing, right? They want to play with their toys, and they don't want to take any responsibility. It's just, come on, right? It's just immature, right? So my question is, would you willing to work with the children or adults?
Well, this is kind of below the belt argumentation. I don't agree at all with what you're saying, and I will take another standpoint. Basically, it's not that they want to play with their toys. It's not that they are lazy people. It's just they're fully under pressure. You know, the PO is there.
I didn't say they're lazy. It's
Well,
just that
this
they
is-
want
this is
to
more
play
what you
with
suggested,
toys.
right? They have a coffee, they have a juice, have a relax, go to the spa.
No. They like to play with their toys, as you said.
Absolutely, they do.
While
Absolutely.
toys is like, oh, let's use Flink or Apache Camel or whatever other framework that is fancy and sexy right now. That's my toy right now.
Absolutely. You know, I've seen a company completely failing just because they wanted to use the brand new hype on the market, a brand new toy, and they were totally immature. They didn't know anything about that, and it was a complete failure because they couldn't use the toy. So basically, yes, when you talk to developers, because they are technical-minded persons, and this is normal, they are made like this, they are taught like this, so this is absolutely normal. They always jump on technology, and they just forget about the other segments of the whole damn stuff, and they totally forget that somebody is paying their bill in the end of the day, and this is the customer, and ultimately the user.
And I totally agree. So now the question is, would we like to create an environment that actually embraces this immature attitude, or actually a environment that forces them to grow up?
I just don't want to sit here on stage and deny that you are talking about less than 1% of organizations out there. I don't believe that that is a reality that at least my customers live in right now, as much as I want it to be true. I think we can all agree on what the ideal state is. We're just so far from it. Did you have another?
Yeah, I know this exactly.
I don't want to sit up here as a keynote speaker and academe and pretend that I don't live this life with you and say that that's even in our horizon right now. I wish I could.
Okay, let's finish it now. And just don't go. We will have the winners, of course. So the next question, please return back to the browsers that you left. And I'm pushing it to the next question where you are polling which group did better job. Pradeep, this is wrong, but okay. Olivier and Marcus, or the others. 12, 14, yes. We need to have more. Just 10 seconds left. Please be quick. And the winner
I voted for myself.
is these gentlemen over there. So, thank you very much.